and she was determined to live her life on her own terms. Feyii, always by her side, supported her through the difficult moments, reminding her that she was stronger than she realized. With each day, Mala grew more confident, and the whispers of the past began to fade into the background. As Mala continued her journey of healing, she and Feyii grew closer. Their bond, once tenuous, had deepened into a true father-daughter relationship. Feyii, seeing how much Mala had been through, admired her resilience. He was proud of the progress she had made, both emotionally and academically, and he knew that Zara would be proud too. Mala, for her part, had begun to see Feyii not just as the father she had never known, but as someone she could truly rely on. Their relationship had healed a part of her that had been broken for so long, and though the scars of her past remained, she no longer felt defined by them. Together, they found strength in one another, and for the first time in years, their family felt whole again. With Feyii's encouragement, Mala decided to return to school full-time. She had always been a bright student, and despite the time she had missed, she quickly caught up with her studies. Feyii worked tirelessly to ensure that she had everything she needed to succeed. He hired tutors to help her with subjects she struggled in, and made sure that she had a quiet space to study at home. Mala, eager to make up for lost time, threw herself into her studies. She wanted to become a healer, just like her mother had dreamed. The thought of carrying on Zara's legacy gave her a sense of purpose, and for the first time in years, she felt excited about the future. Though the journey had been long and difficult, Mala knew that she was finally on the path to achieving her dreams. As Mala's education progressed, she began to take a special interest in herbal medicine, much like her grandmother Naya had taught her when she was younger. She spent hours studying the healing properties of plants and learning how to mix herbs to treat various ailments. Naya, seeing her granddaughter's dedication, was filled with pride. Mala's passion for healing grew with each passing day. She often visited the village healer, learning new techniques and remedies that had been passed down through generations. The more she learned, the more she felt connected to her mother's spirit. Zara had always wanted to be a healer, and now, through Mala, that dream was being fulfilled. For Mala, healing was more than just a career. It was a way to honor her mother's memory and bring hope to others. Mala's connection to her village's traditions deepened as she continued her studies. She began to understand the importance of the healing practices that had been passed down through generations. The knowledge of the elders, once viewed as outdated by some, held a profound wisdom that Mala came to respect and cherish. With Naya's guidance, Mala began to incorporate both modern and traditional healing methods into her studies. She saw the value in blending the old with the new, and her approach gained the attention of the village elders, who were impressed with her dedication. Mala's journey to becoming a healer wasn't just about learning the techniques, it was about embracing the heritage that had shaped her family for generations. The village elders, who had once viewed Mala's family with a mix of pity and judgment, began to see her in a new light. They watched as she dedicated herself to healing, and many of them saw Zara's spirit living on in her. The transformation in Mala's life was undeniable, and it began to shift the way the village viewed her. One day, the head elder approached Mala after a community gathering. "You have proven yourself to be wise beyond your years," he said. "Your dedication to healing is admirable, and your connection to our traditions is something we value deeply." Mala, though humbled by the elder's words, knew that this recognition was not just for her. It was for her mother, her grandmother, and all the women who had come before her. The approval of the elders gave her a newfound sense of purpose, and she vowed to continue their legacy with honor. As time passed, Mala's resolve to become the best healer she could be grew stronger. She knew that the path ahead wouldn't be easy, but she was determined to overcome any obstacles. She spent hours in the fields gathering herbs, learning from Naya and the village healer, and practicing the skills she had acquired. Mala's heart swelled with pride as she realized how far she had come. There had been a time when she didn't think she could survive the pain and trauma of her past, but now, she felt stronger than ever. The support of her family and the village elders had given her the confidence to move forward, and she was determined to make a difference in the lives of others. The healing she had experienced in her own life was something she wanted to pass on to others, and with each new skill she learned, she grew more determined to fulfill her destiny. Mala's strength was tested one day when a child from the village fell gravely ill. The healer was away, and it fell on Mala to take charge. With Naya by her side, she carefully examined the child and used the herbs and techniques she had learned to treat the illness. It was the first time she had been in charge of such a serious case, and though she was nervous, she trusted in her training. As the hours passed, the child's condition began to improve, and by the next morning, the fever had broken. The child's parents were overjoyed and thanked Mala for saving their son's life. Word of her success spread quickly through the village, and for the first time, Mala felt the full weight of what it meant to be a healer. She had saved a life, and in doing so, she had proven to herself and the village that she was capable of carrying on her mother's legacy. With each passing day, Mala's relationship with Femi grew stronger. The bond between father and daughter had been fragile at first, but now it was unbreakable. Femi, who had once feared that he would never be able to make up for the years he had missed, now saw the joy in being part of Mala's life. He supported her in every way he could, and their bond brought healing to both of them. Mala, too, felt the strength of their relationship. She had once feared that she would always be alone, but now she knew that she had a family who loved her. Femi and Naya had been her pillars of strength, and together, they had rebuilt the family that had once been shattered by tragedy. Though the scars of the past remained, their love for each other had created a foundation of healing and hope. As Mala continued her studies, she mastered the art of herbal healing. She became known throughout the village for her skill and dedication, and people from nearby villages began to seek her out for treatment. Mala's reputation as a healer grew, and she became a respected figure in the community. Naya, watching from the sidelines, was filled with pride. She had always known that Mala had the potential to be great, and now she saw her granddaughter fulfilling that potential. The journey had been long and difficult, but Mala had risen above the challenges and emerged stronger. Naya knew that Zara would have been proud of the woman her daughter had become. Mala faced her greatest challenge, yet when an outbreak of illness swept through the village. The symptoms were unlike anything she had seen before, and the healer was away in a distant village. With Naya's guidance, Mala took charge of the situation, treating the sick and isolating those who were contagious. The days that followed were filled with hard work and difficult decisions. Mala worked tirelessly, using every bit of knowledge she had gained from Naya and the healer to care for the sick. The village looked to her for guidance, and though she felt the weight of the responsibility, she knew that she couldn't let them down. Slowly, the outbreak began to subside, and Mala's leadership was credited with saving many lives. After the outbreak was over, the village elders called for a gathering to honor Mala. The village had been saved thanks to her quick thinking, dedication, and skill. The head elder, who had once been skeptical of her abilities due to her family's past, stood before the community and praised her for her selflessness and bravery. Mala, he said, you have proven yourself to be not only a gifted healer, but also a woman of great strength and integrity. You have carried on the legacy of your mother and grandmother, and you have brought honor to your family name. As the villagers cheered and applauded, Mala felt an overwhelming sense of pride and fulfillment. She had not only earned the respect of her community, but had also restored the honor of her family. Zara's dream was alive in her, and that realization filled her with immense gratitude. Femi stood quietly at the back of the crowd, watching his daughter with pride swelling in his chest. He had missed so many years of her life, but now saw her being recognized for her talent and hard work. He knew that she had surpassed even the highest hopes he had for her. Later that night, Femi and Mala sat together under the stars, reflecting on the journey that had brought them to this moment. Your mother would be so proud of you, Femi said softly. Mala smiled, feeling the warmth of his words. Though the pain of Zara's loss would always be with them, they had found healing and hope in one another. I wouldn't be here without you and Grandma, Mala replied. Thank you for never giving up on me. Femi, his eyes misting, placed his hand on hers. It's you who never gave up, Mala. You've made our family whole again." As Mala's reputation as a healer continued to grow, Naya watched with a mix of joy and bittersweet pride. Her granddaughter had come so far, and now, at last, Naya felt she could rest, knowing the legacy of healing was in safe hands. One evening, Naya gathered Mala and Femi to share her thoughts. "My time as a healer is coming to an end," Naya said, her voice soft but steady. "You, Mala, have taken up the mantle, and you are more than capable. It is time for me to step aside and let you continue the work that has been passed down through our family." Mala, though saddened by the thought of Naya no longer practicing, understood. "You will always be my teacher, Grandma," she said. Naya smiled and placed her hands on Mala's shoulders. "And you will always be the pride of our family," she replied. The torch had been passed, and with it came the responsibility of carrying on their family's traditions. With Naya stepping back from her role, Mala took on more responsibility in the village. People came from far and wide to seek her expertise, and she worked tirelessly to help those in need. Despite the challenges, Mala found joy in her work. She had become what she always dreamed of, a healer who could bring hope and healing to her people. As Mala continued to build her practice, she began teaching the next generation of healers, passing on the knowledge she had gained from Naya and the village elders. Young girls from the village looked up to her, eager to learn the ways of healing. Mala felt a deep sense of fulfillment in mentoring them, just as Naya had mentored her. In teaching them, she was ensuring that the legacy of healing would continue long after she was gone. Years passed, and Mala became known far beyond her village for her healing abilities. She was invited to speak at gatherings of healers from other regions, where she shared her knowledge and learned from others. Through these connections, Mala expanded her understanding of healing and brought new techniques back to her village. The elders recognized Mala's contributions not only to the village, but to the wider world of healing. They officially bestowed upon her the title of Master Healer, a rare honor given only to those who had demonstrated exceptional skill and dedication. Mala accepted the title with humility, knowing that the honor was not hers alone. It belonged to her mother, her grandmother, and all those who had come before her. The legacy of healing was not just about her, but about the generations of women who had carried that knowledge through the years. Femi, too, found a new purpose in life as Mala's practice grew. Though he had once been consumed by guilt over Zara's death and his absence from Mala's early years, he had found redemption in being a supportive father. He opened a small legal practice in the village, using his skills to help those who needed legal advice and representation. Femi's practice became as well-respected as Mala's, and together, they formed a powerful team, each helping their community in different ways. Femi had found peace, knowing that he had played a role in helping his daughter succeed. His life, once filled with regret, was now filled with pride and contentment. He had found his place in the village, and, in the process, he had found himself. As Naya grew older, her health began to decline. She had lived a long, full life, but she knew that her time was coming to an end. Mala stayed by her side, caring for her with the same love and dedication that Naya had once shown her. On Naya's last day, Mala sat with her, holding her hand. "You've done so much for me, Grandma," Mala said, her voice filled with emotion. Naya smiled weakly. "You were always destined for greatness, Mala," she replied. "I'm just glad I was here to see it." Naya passed away peacefully that evening, surrounded by her family. Her loss was deeply felt, but her legacy lived on through Mala, who had become everything Naya had hoped for and more. In the days following Naya's death, Mala found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought her to this point. She thought of Zara, Femi, and Naya, and all the people who had shaped her life. She realized that, though her path had been filled with pain and hardship, it had also been filled with love and healing. Mala stood at Naya's grave, a sense of peace washing over her. She had fulfilled her mother's dream of becoming a healer, and in doing so, she had found her own purpose. "Thank you," she whispered to the wind, knowing that her words were meant for both her mother and grandmother. Their spirits would always be with her, guiding her as she continued the work they had started. As Mala continued to grow into her role as a master healer, she found love in a young man who had come to the village seeking treatment for his mother. The two formed a close bond, and eventually, they were married in a small ceremony attended by their closest friends and family. Mala's life had come full circle. From the tragedy of her mother's death, she had built a life filled with love and purpose. Together with her husband, she started a family of her own. Her children grew up learning the ways of healing, just as she had learned from Naya. The cycle continued, and Mala knew that the legacy of her family would live on through them. Mala's children, like her, had a natural curiosity for healing. She began teaching them the ways of herbal medicine, passing down the knowledge she had acquired from her mother and grandmother. Though they were still young, she could see the same spark of passion in their eyes that she had once felt. Mala also continued to teach the young girls from the village who aspired to be healers. Her home became a place of learning and healing, where people from all walks of life came to seek knowledge and treatment. The legacy of healing that had started with Naya had grown into something much larger, and Mala took pride in knowing that the knowledge would continue to be passed down for generations to come. One day, news reached the village of a mysterious illness spreading in a neighboring community. The people there had no healers capable of treating the disease, and they turned to Mala for help. Though the illness was unlike anything she had seen before, Mala didn't hesitate. She gathered her herbs and set out with a group of her apprentices to offer aid. The illness was difficult to treat, but Mala's experience and knowledge allowed her to develop a remedy that saved many lives. The people of the neighboring village were forever grateful, and they invited her to return whenever she wished. Mala's reputation as a healer had now spread far beyond her village, and she knew that her work was only just beginning. As Mala's children grew older, she took them to visit the graves of Zara and Naya. She told them the stories of the women who had come before them, the ones who had made it possible for them to live the life they now had. "Never forget where you come from," she told them. "Our family's legacy is one of strength, healing, and love." The children listened carefully, understanding the importance of their heritage. Mala knew that, just as Naya had passed the torch to her, she would one day pass it to them. The legacy of the healers would continue, and her family's story would live on in the generations to come. As Mala looked back on her life, she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had faced more challenges than she could have ever imagined, but she had also experienced more love, joy, and healing than she had ever thought possible. Her journey had been one of pain and loss, but it had also been one of growth and redemption. Mala had become the healer her mother had always dreamed she would be, and in doing so, she had found her own path. Surrounded by her family and her community, she knew that her life's work had made a difference. She had brought healing not only to others but also to herself. And in that healing, she had found peace.